Trinidad and Tobago opposition's media briefing, the neglect of Chaguanas East by the government and matters of national development. Our presenters are Senator Wade Mark, Leader of Opposition Business in the Senate, and MP Vandana Mohit, Shadow for Social Development. Thank you for attending. We will be starting shortly, and in the meanwhile, please share the live.
A pleasant good morning and welcome to our Sunday Opposition Press Briefing. We are here live coming to you, our viewers, and we want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us. Today, as we deal with matters affecting Trinidad and Tobago, specifically the neglect of Chaguanas East by the government and matters of national development, I am joined by my colleague, Senator Wade Mark, and this morning he will begin by dealing with matters affecting Trinidad and Tobago. So I now hand you over to Senator Wade Mark.
Thank you, my distinguished colleague, the Honorable Vandana Mohit, MP for Chaguanas East and Shadow with responsibility for social development. Good morning to the people of our beloved Twin Island Republic State. Today, I am going to focus on behalf of our great and glorious party, the United National Congress, what we would like to describe as the scam of the century. The scam of the century. 2 decades of PNM inspired robbery of the people, of you, the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago. Let us understand that the PNM playbook has been at work for almost 2 decades. The Naikwan gas to liquids project that has now gone belly up did not start yesterday, did not start in 2012, did not start in 2016, did not start in 2019. It's not about to go belly up in 2024 May or approximately thereabouts. No, No. It started 2 decades ago. It was a virtual cash cow that the PNM was milking by fleecing the taxpayers of billions and billions and billions of dollars. Understand this? You know, there's a saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Shame on me. This is the saga of Naikwan Energy Trinidad Limited. From Malcolm Jones, Ken Julian, David Lorin, a smart man out of New York, peddling the impossible dream of gas to liquids and zero sulfur fuel, selling a dream to Malcolm Jones, Ken Julian, Patrick Manning, the deceased. And I want you to remember, Imbert, the 3.4 billion era Minister of Finance, was part of the cabinet when that decision was taken to get into what is called the World GTL project. Never forget that. Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley was part of the cabinet when the scam was unfolded and hatched against the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It cost us, the taxpayers, and we are still paying for it today, over $3 billion. That was the World GTL pipe dream that they sold the population in 2004. And when they demitted office in 2010, cost overruns, huge delays, and scrap iron was the result, was the end result. It costs the taxpayers over $3 billion. No one was held accountable, even though the People's Partnership brought a civil suit against Malcolm Jones and his entire board for their breach of their fiduciary duties and responsibilities to the taxpayers through Petrotrin, amounting to $1.2 billion. We got advice from who? Vincent Nelson. And that constituted the basis for our civil action against Malcolm Jones and his entire board. But what did Alwari do? What did Rowley do? What did Imbert do? They withdrew the civil suit when they took power in 2015. And Malcolm Jones was brought on the steering committee on energy. And he was exonerated by the PNM. And the civil suit was withdrawn. That was the PNM. That is what they did. So I want you, as I get into some details on this scam of the century, this con job on the taxpayers, never forget that the Ramkissoon family lost their sole breadwinner in an explosion. Never forget that at that plant. 80 employees are now on the breadline as a result of this scam and this con job by the PNM. And I will show how you and me, the taxpayers of this country, have underwritten this sweetheart agreement. And we may still be called upon to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to NIQUAN directors, officers, note holders, and other shareholders and stakeholders. Bear this in mind carefully, ladies and gentlemen. I have before me in the Express, page 10, Friday the 17th of May, 2024, headlined, NIQUAN gets default rating from CARICREST. Look at here. This was on Friday, the 17th. Regionally, they have defaulted as far as CARICREST is concerned. Nationally, they have defaulted in Trinidad and Tobago. Several note holders and secured parties. Monies are jumping up in a band after they were encouraged by the government from all reasonable perspectives. The government promoted NIQUAN as an investment opportunity, and they encouraged through their utterances publicly and otherwise investors to part with their investment into NIQUAN. Never forget this. What we are told in this article is that the estimated total debt of NIQUAN as at the end of March 2024 stood at 450 million US dollars or 3.1 billion TT dollars. That is what we were told by CARICREST in this article. And they said that NIQUAN, like Michael Leachin, is in default. They can't pay. They borrowed money and they can't pay back the people who they borrowed the money from. Members of the media, let me tell you, upon research conducted not only by us, but by several others, this gas to liquids project, this green fuel energy project, this zero sulfur project was not possible, was not commercialized in any part of the world. It was never commercially, technically feasible in any part of the world. Yet still, our government, having failed us between 2004 and 2010, when Patrick Manning, deceased, was prime minister, he invested over $3 billion that we got scrap iron at the end of the exercise for. They didn't learn anything. You had a minister who is now prime minister in the cabinet of Patrick Manning, who approved the WGTL project. Dr. Rowley must be made accountable. The people of Trinidad and Tobago for the $3 billion in wastage. We must bowl to Dr. Rowley's chest and invert that $3 billion that we lost. And you come 20 years later, and in a sweetheart deal, you gone a second time into a failed project, members of the media? Why would a government do such a thing? Why would a government, knowing full well that we had lost $3 billion between 2004 to 2010, and then in 2012, an approach was made to buy the scrap iron by Ainsley Gill, from Malcolm Jones to Ainsley Gill, from Malcolm Jones to Alwari, from Malcolm Jones to the Prime Minister, from Malcolm Jones to the Minister of Finance. It was the Minister of Finance in March of 2016 or April that approved the sale of WGTL to Naikwan. Never forget that. I have the letter signed, sealed, and delivered by who? The Minister of Finance. I have something called the Bentia mortgage here. Look at here. At the Bentia mortgage. Taken out in 2019. It's here. In this document, the PNM government sold out the interests of the people to Naikwan. Members of the media, you can take a picture of it at the end of the day. I want you to look at, it's a registered document, page 4 of the appendix, and you'll see the following. They took our land. They took our land at Pointe-à-Pierre, over 4 hectares of land, and they leased it to Naikwan. All the plant, all the machinery, all the fixtures, they leased that machinery to Naikwan. You know, that was the collateral, members of the media, that they used to borrow money from Republic Bank. They used the assets of the people that Ainsley Gill and Naikwan paid $35 million US dollars for. 25 million in preferential shares. In other words, we loan Naikwan $25 million to buy the land, to buy our assets. That's what a preferential share is. It's a loan. And then they paid us 10 million in US. That makes up the 35 million. But you know what is even more shocking in this document? Members, it is under the item government approvals. Look at here. You could come and take it after. Government approval. Naikwan was exempted from not paying any VAT on anything that they imported in the country. No VAT. VAT for you, members of the media. VAT for you, members of the public. VAT for me. VAT for us. But no VAT for Naikwan. Naikwan was able to import anything and everything duty-free through customs. No duties. But they want you to pay duties on something you bought from Amazon. 7.5% tax on Amazon that you import. But duty-free for Naikwan and the Paliwals. You know what happened? They got an off-take agreement with Petrotrin to take 100% of their products that they produce or they were supposed to produce. A sweetheart agreement. 100% of whatever. And they were supposed to produce 2,400 barrels of pure non-sulfur fuel, which Petrotrin was supposed to take. They got gas at a sweetheart price, $3.65 per MMBTU. They were supposed to be paying $6.565. We on the road, Naikwan, you and I, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, they had an interconnection for electricity through Petrotrin. We have concluded, unless they deny, they got free electricity through Petrotrin. Naikwan, from what we have seen, unless they deny otherwise, got free electricity from Petrotrin. They have a water deal or agreement with WASA. We haven't seen it. So we don't know what is the arrangement with WASA. So, members of the media, this is criminal misconduct. This is misconduct in public office. You want us to pay property tax? You want us to pay VAT? You want us to pay duties on matters that we import from Amazon if we go on online shopping? But these fellas get away scotch-free. No withholding tax. It's here. They are not to pay any withholding tax. Members of the media, all the approvals were facilitated by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Everyone. And it is outlined here in this document. And the most grievous of sins was when they took our land and used it as collateral to borrow money through note holders from Republic Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. This is a national scandal that requires an independent criminal forensic investigation, starting with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, Faris Alwari, he's the one who withdrew the civil lawsuit amounting to $1.2 billion that was brought by the People's Partnership against Malcolm Jones and his entire board. Alwari withdrew that civil suit. He must account for that. And Mr. Stuart Young, you must account too, because you were the attorney representing Malcolm Jones in this civil lawsuit before Rowley and that gang that runs this country chose to withdraw the civil lawsuit. And then you give them a sweetheart agreement. I have a court document which is public, which you don't have to be worried about because it's stamped by the court and you can go and get it for yourself. 12 parties arrived on the doorstep of the High Court based on a petition to wind up NICWAN. The petition was brought by one David Small, who was a former vice president of that company. And when I tell you the names of the parties, you will understand what this thing is about. By the way, I want to ask Republic Bank. I want to ask the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, what due diligence, what technical feasibility study was done on this project before you invested monies from Petrotrin, from the National Gas Company, from Republic Bank, from the First Citizens Bank? Tell Trinidad and Tobago what due diligence you conducted to determine the viability of this project. I don't want to believe, ladies and gentlemen of the media, I challenge the government to produce for your consumption the technical feasibility study that they generated in order to go ahead with this project. I call on them to produce any due diligence that was conducted before they allow Republic Bank, and I'll call a number of banks that have invested in this project. Here are the creditors who appeared on the scene. And when was that, members? This was just recently at the level of the court. They appeared. I think it was the 4th of May. I can get the date for you shortly. The first group is the Junior Sammy group. It's here. The Junior Sammy group. I want to ask Junior Sammy on behalf of himself and on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, confirm or deny. Are you being owed by NICWAN close to $100 million? I want to find out on behalf of the people. How much money is Junior Sammy Group owed by NICWAN? Because he appeared in court. And we are understanding that it could be close to $100 million. Can Mr. Junior Sammy deny or confirm? There's a company called First Line Securities Limited. They too have invested monies into this operation called Naikwan. In fact, what I understand is that their investment could be anywhere between 50 to $60 million. Here are the monies that are involved. This company. I go on. There's something called Central Finance Cooperative Facility. They too invested money into this company called Naikwan. Right? How much did they invest? Over $1 million. Over $1 million, we understand, they may have been invested, or in fact, it might be closer to $7 million that they may have invested. Then there's something called PECU. I think that means the Port Employees Credit Union. They too appeared as creditors. They want back their money. Then there's something called the JMMB Securities Limited. That's a bank. Our understanding is JMMB has an exposure of between 200 million to $350 million tied up in Naikwan. We want some clarification. We are asking questions. We want answers on behalf of the people. Teachers Credit Union is tied up in this fiasco at Naikwan as well. We would like the Teachers Credit Union to tell us how much they have invested. We have estimated, based on research that we have been conducted, that it could be close to $15 million invested by the Teachers Credit Union into this particular company. Could the Teachers Credit Union confirm or deny this? Then there's the Waterloo Capital Advisors Limited. They too have invested and they appeared in court. They want their money. But ladies and gentlemen of the media, Republic Bank, collateral agent of the note holders, they also appeared in the court. You know how much money the note holders and Republic Bank as collateral agent, financing arranger, is owing? Naikwan is owing? Ladies and gentlemen, $175 million US. That is almost $1.2 billion or roughly. That is what we are talking about here. And then there's something called IRP, Fire and Safety Limited. They too are calling for their monies. We don't know how much they invested. Radiant HA Limited, they too are calling. We are seeing a figure of $16,902. In fact, they are $16,902,222.13. That is what we are seeing. This company has invested into this Naikwan debacle. Then there's something called Anti-Corrosion Technical Services Limited. Then there's George Aboud and Sons Limited. We are seeing a $1 $1,082,000 invested. And there's something called PVF Limited. They have invested, they said, 67,000 US dollars into this project. Members of the media, what we are concerned about are the following financial institutions that seem to be tied up like a crab in a barrel, or like crabs in a barrel. Here are the banks, and we want to ask these banks that is give plenty trouble to small people when they want foreign exchange to travel. $200 they get it, $100. If you want a loan, you have to go on your knees to beg them for a loan. I want to ask these banks what due diligence they conducted, what technical feasibility studies they conducted before they engage in these funding efforts. First Citizens Bank, let them explain to us how they were able to invest 7 million US dollars. Multiply that by $7. And that's close to 50 million TT dollars. How did the First Citizens Bank invest that kind of money into Naikwan? Are they going to get back that money? Or are they going to write off that money? We don't know. We're asking questions. We want also RBC to tell us how they got caught up in this arrangement. RBC Trust and the RBC Bank. We want Republic Bank Limited to tell us how they got tied up in this arrangement. Scotia Bank. These are questions that people are crying out for answers. And you know, Kirk, even the Bank of Guyana got tied up in this. The Bank of Guyana. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we are concerned about the taxpayers and how the taxpayers are going to experience any returns on their investments. You know, whilst all this is going on, ladies and gentlemen of the media, Naikwan Energy Trinidad Limited has gone to the ICC in the United Kingdom, and they have brought proceedings against the upstream, downstream company of Trinidad and Tobago. And do you know, members of the media, that the chairman of that ICC indicated that, you know what, this gas supply that they have stopped ought not to have been stopped. And they are now making claims against the upstream, downstream company of TNT and the government of Trinidad and Tobago. So what does that mean? Are we going to be called upon as taxpayers to fund that? And by the way, the parent company of the Trinidad, of Naikwan Energy Trinidad Limited, is called Naikwan Energy LLC. They are based in the United States. You know, they have gone to the body in the United States that deals with dispute settlements. And they are accusing the government of Trinidad and Tobago of breaching bilateral treaties between the United States and Trinidad and Tobago. Now, if they win those matters, and they are supported by note holders, shareholders, stakeholders, if they win, what is going to happen to us in Trinidad and Tobago? Members of the media, I bring all these things to your attention so you can understand the con job, the scam that has visited our country under this so-called Naikwan debacle that is about to go belly up. Therefore, in closing, we call the United National Congress calls for an independent criminal forensic investigation into all the circumstances surrounding this Naikwan debacle, Naikwan fiasco, whether it is Naikwan Energy, Trinidad Limited, or Naikwan Energy LLC. We need to get to the bottom of this and to ensure that the taxpayers of this country are protected against these midnight robbers that we have been exposed to at this time. So, members of the media, we are accumulating documents which we are prepared to share with you on this particular development that is now engaging Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to warn the country, it is not yet over. We can end up as taxpayers being called upon to pay billions and billions of dollars to Naikwan directors, both in the United States and in Trinidad and Tobago, to Naikwan note holders, to Naikwan shareholders, to Naikwan stakeholders. That is what we are faced with in these arbitration matters that are now being undertaken both nationally, both internationally, in the UK, as well as the United States of America. So I'll pause at this point in time, and I'll invite my honorable colleague, the distinguished MP for Chaguanas East, the Honorable Vandana Mohit, who is our shadow MP with responsibility for social development, to address you on the total neglect of the Chaguanas East constituency by the People's National Movement. And the people of that constituency, the young people in particular, are suffering as a result of the intense and palpable neglect by the PNM. I now invite my sister Mohit, to address you.
Thank you very much to my colleague and a well-respected member of our party, Senator the Honorable Wade Mark. Viewers, members of the media as well, as I stand before you here today to speak about the neglect of my constituency, more so my constituents of Chaguanas East, I want to let you know that I am deeply concerned about the rampant neglect that has plagued and continues to plague the constituency of Chaguanas East. And not just my constituency, these same issues are affecting several parts of Trinidad and Tobago under this disruptive regime. And to you viewers, as I go in depth today in terms of my constituency and the neglect faced by my constituency, I want to begin by telling the government of the day, do not pretend to care about Chaguanas East. And you would understand why I'm saying this during my contribution here today, due to what I have to share with you. The overall neglect of our infrastructure and the lack of opportunities provided by the government have had detrimental effects on the lives of our residents in Chaguanas East. And therefore, to my constituents, to my viewers, because I know several of you from within the constituency of Chaguanas East have joined us this morning and you are currently viewing, I say to you that it is time for us to stand up as right-thinking citizens and speak up and demand better of this incompetent government. And let us hold those in power accountable. Because I know sometimes you, my constituents, will want to hold me accountable. But I remind you that those in power must also be held accountable for what you are facing in the constituency of Chaguanas East and by extension Trinidad and Tobago. And first and foremost, I want to deal a little bit with the infrastructure in my constituency of Chaguanas East. And if one should drive through the streets of Chaguanas East, what do you see? I'm sure if we can speak face to face, you would be telling me crumbling pothole roads, continuous traffic congestion. You would be telling me about the inadequate drainage systems. And I want to say to you that, and the government, I want to say to the government that Chaguanas, not just Chaguanas East, but Chaguanas at large, is grappling with pothole and traffic woes. And this, for the people of Chaguanas, is a basic amenity. And how can we expect communities within our country to thrive and to develop when we cannot even provide the most basic amenities in which they need? And as I continue to deal with infrastructure, I want to share that the constituents of Chaguanas East, our infrastructure is not just a matter of convenience. Our infrastructure is a matter of safety and economic opportunity, our safety and well-being. The state of our roads affects everything from transport to commerce. So therefore, this is why I'm saying that it interferes with our safety and economic opportunity. And I repeat, Chaguanas is grappling with pothole and traffic woes. And why am I saying this? Our infrastructure means a lot to us here in the constituency of Chaguanas East, and I know other constituencies will be saying that this matters to them too. But in Chaguanas East, businesses are struggling to operate efficiently because of infrastructure woes. Residents face daily hazards on their commute, and emergency services are hindered in their ability to respond effectively. And when I say emergency services, ambulances are hindered. Persons who are even trying to reach health facilities, trying to reach to work, they are faced with frustration. And this neglect is not just an inconvenience. It is a threat to our well-being. It is a threat to our community's well-being. I want to touch a little bit on the Bridle Road Bridge project, which is affecting not just Chaguanas East. It is affecting several parts of central Trinidad because of the fact that many persons utilize the Endeavour Road, the Jerningham Road, where this Bridle Road Bridge is located to get to work, to get to the Piarco International Airport, to get to the East-West Corridor. Several persons utilize this stretch on a daily basis. And whilst this particular bridge is a crucial infrastructural development within the constituency of Chaguanas East, and there have been several challenges facing this particular project, preventing its completion. I want to let my constituents know that I am working with the relevant authorities to ensure that this work continues, and I am actively involved to ensure that all of the issues surrounding this project are resolved. But whilst we understand that, there are challenges and this project is crucial to the people of Chaguanas East, to the people of Central Trinidad, to the people of those people who traverse this particular area every day. At this forum, I want to ask the government, I want to seek the assurance of the government that this bridge will be open to the public at the earliest convenience. The rainy season is approaching us. The officials of the Ministry of Works would have said to me that this bridge will be completed at the end of June. In a few weeks, we are expecting rainfall. residents in this particular area face flooding issues. So I am calling on the government to ensure that this bridge is reopened for the public's usage at the earliest convenience. You said June 2024, and we are holding you to that. The residents of Chaguanas East and Central at large, we have faced enough traffic frustration at other points due to the lack of availability of this particular bridge to traverse. And whilst dealing with infrastructure, I want to deal with this S-bend, because on this very stretch of the Bridle Road Bridge, you have the S-bend. Everyone in Chaguanas East, everyone in Central Trinidad utilized this particular Endeavour Road where the S-bend is located. And what is quite disheartening here for me to report this morning is that despite all available efforts and mechanisms to address the S-bend project, where the Minister of Public Utilities through WASA must relocate an active water line, it has been a significant piece of stress for me and the constituents. Why? There continues to be inaction, or may I say today, willful neglect by those in power to bring about the much needed relief to both the motoring public and the residents who utilize and live within the environs of the S-bend. I want to share with you, viewers, that since my assumption as the Member of Parliament for Chaguanas East, I have been clamoring and making representations in and out of the Parliament for this relief project at the S-bend in Endeavour. This area floods badly during the rainy season. And I want to share with you something very important today, and from the Hansard of the Parliament, because sometimes you have to use people's words against them when they do not live up to their words. The Minister of Public Utilities on Wednesday, May the 10th, 2023, stated, and I want to quote, "Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Water and Sewerage Authority is working closely with the Ministry of Works and Transport to ensure the smooth and seamless implementation of the S-bend project at Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, which is scheduled to be implemented in the next fiscal year." Today, I want to report to you, viewers, that we are at mid-May 2024, and there's a deafening silence as to the present status of this particular matter, because you have to remove WASA lines in order for a box drain project to occur. A box drain project was previously cancelled, which was awarded in 2020 due to the negligence by this very Minister of Public Utilities, his agency of WASA not removing/relocating WASA lines at the said location. So I want to ask you, if you don't agree with me, that this is pure vindictiveness on the part of this government to have these lines relocated so a project can occur here, so that you, the residents, do not have to face this issue of flooding and go to social welfare every time it floods to let them know about the destruction of your items within your home, and wait and wait and wait without any assistance. I want to ask the Minister of Public Utilities at this forum here today, when will you resolve the issue? When will you resolve this issue at the S-bend and relieve my constituents of this flood stress which they face each and every year, each and every rainy season? As I deal with infrastructure, I also want to move a little bit to road patching works. And you heard me mention pothole woes in the constituency of Chaguanas East, and road infrastructure playing a crucial role in our well-being, and obviously enhancing connectivity among residents and their daily activities in terms of where they have to be and so on. Thus, road patching is necessary. But you know what's confusing to me? And I'm trying to understand this. We have moved from road patching to spot paving. So we changed the word. We changed the wording of it. They say the Ministry of Works and several agencies are saying they are spot paving now. But do you know that spot paving is actually road patching from the works we are seeing? So we are trying to fool the constituents, we are trying to fool the citizens to tell them, listen, we spot paving your road, when indeed we are patching the roadways. And this is not any long-term relief for residents. It's basically the same temporary relief of road patching, which, you're patching a road to wait for the paving so that you could really feel some form of relief. And recently, we would have had to privately work with, agencies and so on, businesses and so on, to patch the Crown Trace and Rodney Road area, when I have been requesting year after year, writing to the Minister of Works and Transport. Now you have the secondary road company requesting several roads, including Crown Trace, including Rodney Road. But we are so tired of writing, we are so tired of requesting. Again, we have to move to providing temporary relief at Crown Trace, at Rodney Road. We have the same happening in Hassarat Road and Railway Extension. Hassarat Road, where you have the Jerningham Government Primary School and the Cunupia Secondary School. Each day, residents and parents, teachers, principals have to face issues getting to these particular schools through this said roadway of the Hassarat Road Extension, writing over and over, request for an update on urgent repairs at Hassarat Road. So, they say the power of the ink is on paper. So I will not stop writing these agencies. And when I'm fed up of writing, of course, I have to go the private way and beg corporate entities, which is very disturbing because of the fact that you have agencies with allocated funding. But in Chaguanas East, the residents care about their community. So we have worked to patch several areas, and sometimes you have to sit down and beg to get a little bit of hot mix from the agencies. And you provide we have said local government reform in this country will fix all of our problems. You hear that from the government, the Minister of Local Government. In this day and age, to patch Crown Trace, to patch Rodney Road, to patch other areas severely affected by potholes, you know what you have to do? You have to beg the corporation to provide base materials because they do not have the mix, hot mix or cold mix, and then you have to go and beg a businessman for some hot mix or cold mix. Or if you do not have that opportunity, at the point in time, you have to beg the divisions in the Ministry of Works, hoping to get it. Sometimes you get, sometimes you do not get. Why do we have to do this in this day and age, to be begging for peace everywhere to bring relief to our constituents? I find that very disturbing, and my constituents find it very disturbing as well. I want to move a little bit now to the lack of opportunities for our young people, our graduates, etc., through unemployment, through the various agencies which you have to give opportunities to these young persons. Today I stand before you, our viewers, with a heavy heart, deeply concerned about a pressing issue that affects the very fabric of our society, which is the lack of training and joblessness amongst the youth within my constituency. And this is not just a statistic or a fleeting concern. It's a stark reality that demands our urgent attention and concerted action. And I want to share with you that Chaguanas, like many communities across our nation, is grappling with the harsh reality of youth unemployment. Our young people, the vibrant heartbeat of our community, they are facing a future fraught with uncertainty and despair. And the lack of adequate training and employment opportunities has left them disheartened, trapped in a cycle of poverty and hopelessness. And you may ask, what am I doing? I'm doing my best. I'm doing a lot. But it's just not enough. We have ministries for a reason. We have programs for a reason, which is to assist our youth. And I want to be clear. This is not just a problem in Chaguanas alone. It is a challenge that strikes the very core of our nation's future. And for when we fail to invest in our youth, we rob our country of its greatest asset, the talent, creativity, potential of our young people. And the reasons behind this crisis are manifold. Limited access to the quality of education, a mismatch between skills acquired and market demands, systematic barriers to unemployment, all contribute to this dire situation facing our youth. But pointing fingers and assigning blame will not solve the problem. It is time for action on the part of government. Not when someone speaks about crime and youth opportunity, you run with a caravan somewhere for public relations to show, hey, listen, we're in the community of enterprise. We're in the community of Arima. We're in the community of Dabadi, Omera, just to show you are in the community. No, that is not going to solve the real problems. That is not going to match skills and relate it to our market demands. That is not going to do that. That is not going to take our youth out of the situations they are in currently. I want to ask the Minister of Youth Affairs and National Service. You brought a caravan into the community of enterprise recently. Youth caravan in the community of enterprise. What the youth got after that? What opportunities, and I'm speaking about tangible opportunities, the youth of enterprise got after that caravan? Or was it just a day for a big stage, a big truck, some music, some dance, some walking around, shouting to the tune of some theme words or phrases, and nothing after that? You have gone from enterprise. You have forgotten the youth of enterprise following that caravan. What they got after that? I am told that it's promises, promises, promises. But what I'm also told is that they are just coming into enterprise to fool the people. And these are not the words of a few people. These are the words of many people living within the community of enterprise. They are fooling us. They're just coming here to make us feel they're doing something for us. And this would put us in a situation where we are not dealing with the real issues, the underlying issues faced by our youth. Unemployment, poverty, crime, social exclusion. We must break down those barriers and prevent our young people from reaching, which are preventing our young people from reaching, their full potential and their goals. And, they say that it has gotten so bad. Everywhere you walk, you would hear persons saying to you, we cannot take this no more, The only thing can resolve our issues is that of a change of government. And a change of government will help the youths to realize their dreams and really live their dreams. Because people are fed up. People are fed up with unemployment. People are fed up with crime. And I move now to crime within the constituency of Chaguanas East. Yesterday, you would have seen a doubles vendor while setting up. A young woman who I happen to know, not from the constituency of Chaguanas East. And this is so disheartening to see a young woman being dragged while setting up to make an honest dollar. And this is the situation faced by many persons who are leaving their homes each and every day to make an honest dollar. Whilst we have a Minister of National Security who is not doing anything to even make our citizens feel safe. We are in a position in this country where our residents are no longer having hope in burglar proofing, because at some point during the day, you have to walk out the area that has the burglar proofing. At some point during the day, you have to go to the supermarket. You have to go to pick up your child at school. You have to go to work. You have to go to the mall. You have to go to the store. And you are not sure to return home. I want to deal with a little bit of crime in my constituency. And I want to share with you, well, most of you would know that, this officer, Dale, recently we had to see where he was shot in the Longdonville area. Very disheartening. But you know what I want to deal with a little bit in terms of youth clubs, police youth clubs, youth opportunity. At the Standing Finance Committee in this fiscal year's, during this fiscal year's presentation, you'll have the Standing Finance Committee. And during the Standing Finance Committee, the TTPS, they had to report on their allocation and answer several questions. And the Minister of National Security was that person. And when I asked the Minister of National Security if he can give a breakdown of allocation to police youth clubs throughout the country, the Minister of National Security, it's there on the record, said, as time wasting as it is, I will get it done. And I want to share with my constituents of Chaguanas East today. I have received, you received the additional information, and I have received the additional information. All of our colleagues received the additional information. And when the minister said, as time wasting as it is, he will get it done, I was wondering why. But do you know why he said that? And I want to share with my constituents of Chaguanas East. Because Chaguanas East has police youth clubs, and none of the police youth clubs in the constituency of Chaguanas East received any allocations. So this answers our questions about the lack of opportunities for our youth within this country. The Minister of National Security cannot even answer to our youth how he's allocating to them. In terms, youth enter police youth clubs for a reason. They enter to be involved, to get, forms of discipline, principles instilled in them. And when you cannot even answer on their allocation, or some of them are surviving on fundraisers or community support, it is very disappointing. I want to also share that, we must invest in education, we must invest in job training programs and social services that empower our youth. And furthermore, what I want to share with you is that we must foster a culture of community vigilance and cooperation, where residents are encouraged to report suspicious activities, support their neighbors, and work together with law enforcement to keep our streets safe. But we say this, we ask for this to be encouraged, but I want to share with you, the police service said to us on several occasions over the years, the Ministry of National Security, I may say as well, if you see something, say something. Community vigilance. Set up WhatsApp groups within your community. Speak to your neighbors. Let your neighbors say if they are seeing something in front of their homes, suspicious activities on the community streets. I have several WhatsApp groups in the constituency of Chaguanas East since my days as a councillor. Every day, you would see residents are looking out for each other. They are indicating when there are suspicious activities within their communities on their streets. You have police officers, but when you call the police stations, you know what's the issue? No vehicles, shortage of manpower. So how are you seeing something and saying something? What is happening after you see something and say something? Nothing is happening. The result of this is we have no vehicles, we have no manpower, our staff today, we are short on staff, we cannot attend to you. The one vehicle we have, we are dealing with a crime scene at one particular location, we cannot come to you right now, and this is how it's going. So our vigilance within the communities too are becoming frustrated. Our entire national security system is in a dilapidated condition. And I don't know how much more to beg for this Minister of National Security to be removed, because he's an absolute failure. It's not just a wording now to say he's an absolute failure and he's incompetent. The man literally not doing his job. He has failed. The people do not want him. If we have to speak in simple terms, the people are frustrated with him. The people see no future in him in terms of their safety and security. So if we are saying we are to stand united against crime I do not know how we are going to stand united against crime with this Minister of National Security, who first told us he's not responsible for crime. Then he comes, he apologizes for what citizens are facing. And now what's happening? More and more and more and more crime are taking place. And our citizens are just frustrated. I want to share with you, I wrote to the Minister of National Security on several occasions. And he never responded to me. But when I wrote to the Prime Minister, when they had an attack on the contractors and workers at the Bridle Road Bridge, you know, over that weekend, the Minister of National Security, like he got scared when I wrote the Prime Minister. He couldn't even reach the minister's office at the Ministry of National Security. So he called up somebody at the Member of Parliament office. I never wrote to the Member of Parliament for Laventille West. I wrote to the Minister of National Security. But he got so scared, apparently, when I wrote to the Prime Minister that he has not responded to any of my letters, nor my concerns in the constituency of Shogunas East. He went down in Laventille West at the constituency office, and like he tried to find the latest letter that I sent to him, and he responded from his MP's office, not even the minister's office, because he had to show that, hey, I respond to she, you know. But I didn't respond to her from the ministry. I responded to her from my MP's office. But he thought I wouldn't pick up on this. But that is so unprofessional. And in addition to that, I was writing to him on this occasion about a shooting incident near the Jerningham Government Primary School. And the minister had the audacity to tell me work with the police. So what have I been doing for all these years? Not working with the police to know that they have half of a vehicle in a charge room? To know that they have no resources? You telling me work with the police? You need to work with the police, Minister of National Security. And the Minister of National Security indicated to me that the Central Division reviewed the reports of loud explosions on the relevant day, and the police found no physical evidence of any shooting. Mind you, this very same incident occurred 2 weeks ago. Several persons messaged me to say, level gunshots. This was the message I got. Level gunshots heard again, right, at the said Jerningham Government Primary School. So if no evidence of shooting was found, why it is you are saying to me arrangements are being made to provide counseling to the students as necessary, but no evidence, but you're providing counseling. So what are you really saying to me, Minister of National Security? What are you really saying to me and my constituents? What are you saying to my students within the constituency of Shogunas East? I want to let you know as well, viewers, that this week, on Tuesday, I had the opportunity to visit farmers within my constituency. And following the visit, I wrote again to the Prime Minister of this country, informing him that my farmers are facing vandalization of their crops. My farmers within the constituency of Shogunas East, their crops are being burnt. You have several matters affecting my farmers. I have had to clean water courses for farmers on my own. Now my farmers are under attack. I wrote to the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of National Security, the Commissioner of Police, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I am hoping for a response or even a phone call. Today is Sunday. I wrote to these persons since Wednesday. As soon as I got back from the visit, I began working on that. So you have had several attacks, several shootings taking place in my constituency, several deaths arising from shootings. And you are telling me my constituents must go about business as usual. This will not continue to happen. I will continue to write the Prime Minister because I have no faith in his ministers as it relates to several important issues in my constituency. I want to, as I come to a close, I want to also say that all of these problems, but one thing I know for sure, whilst the PNM might fail you, my constituents, the UNC has a history of advocacy for community and for people. And when I say people, we have a history of advocacy for youth, mothers, community, infrastructure, opportunities. And very soon, you, the people, will have that opportunity to, put your confidence where, it belongs or where it should be, and see some positive developments in terms of economic development, in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of social welfare, education, and governance. So the actual outcomes will depend on you and the power vested in your franchise. So hold faith, be strong to you, my constituents of Chaguanas East. The neglect is real, but your finger will obviously improve your future. And I say to you, we shall continue to work together. And as I come to a close, I want to take this opportunity, to let persons within Trinidad and Tobago know that as we, the UNC, continue to unveil what we will do for you, the people, we want to invite you tomorrow to the Pinal Secondary School, where we will be having our UNC Monday night report, our cottage meeting, and of course our political leader will be there, and you would hear from us as we continue to fight this fight for you. So I now open for any possible questions from members of the media for both my colleague and I, a teacher, a great exemplar in our party, Senator Wade Mark. Sorry.
Right, good day, MP and Senator. Made note of all the things that you mentioned. I know for sure the bridge project is something that we're working on because we've been covering that as well. But something that I was hoping that was mentioned today that I didn't hear you speak about was the upcoming internal elections. I mean, it's 3 weeks away. I want both of you maybe could comment on this. I mean, at one point in time, I know this is something that MP Mohit would have agreed with other members that were calling for the internal election. So maybe we can start with her. Do you believe that, well, now that it's called, the opposition leader kept her word to say when it is constitutional, due to be called. Is this something that, what are your thoughts on that? You can share with us.
Well, I do not think that I would have agreed at any point for, with other members for the election to be called. What I would have agreed with is our political leaders' stance and the national executive stance that elections will be called when it's due. And I believe our party has always followed the democratic process laid out for both us elected representatives and our members. And I support that. We have a elections management committee who we have full confidence in. I see they are doing a great job and they have been very fair thus far, and we look forward to the process. Our party is a democratic one, and of course elections have been called. It was said it will be called when it's due. It has been called. We look forward to it, and we respect our party's decisions, we respect our party's position, and we respect our party's process.
Senator, same for you. Is it that you will be contested in your positions or anything like that?
No, I have played my part over the years, and I continue to play my part, as an elder statesman within the party. So, no, like my colleague has said, the elections have been called, as the Honorable Leader said, when they were due. And we await the outcome on the 15th of June.
All right, okay. Also, I know the by-elections, that's something that we can expect as well. Nominations were already called for that?
Yes. So I understand nominations have been called, and I think from my information, screening has started. So
and will continue. So when the time comes for us to place our candidate before the country, that is the by-election, we'll have candidates in place and the elections will be held, results announced, and winners announced. So we, as my friend said, the distinguished member for Chaguanas East, elections will be held when they are due, and they are being held when they are due, and we await the outcome of those results.
So do you think that when the internal elections is for that we will see a difference? I think some members were saying that it was time for a refresher, a facelift, different words that were carried about. Do you think we will see any sort of change as far as the membership of the
All I can tell you is that election results will be announced on the evening of the 15th of June. So stay tuned. Don't be too anxious. You will know the end result because at the end of the day, as you know, the membership of our party will have the right to exercise their franchise, and they will do so. So we all await the outcome of the results. Is there anyone else good? Kirk? Is there?
Say that the nominations closed for the by-election on Friday.
I understand that nomination has closed for the by-election, and that was done last Friday. So I guess the screening process would commence. Any further final input or
What do you
question?
think about the MB's participation in the election? Because I know he said that he looks forward to participating in this. Seeing that he was calling for the election, seeing that he was, there's been a bit of a rift between him and the opposition leader for 2 weeks going. So what do you think about him now participating in the election?
Listen, we have a democratic party. We are governed by democratic rules and principles. Once you're a member of our party, yes, and we can have differences, okay? Because that is what a democracy is about. We have disagreements at the end of the process, but we adhere to the principles and the rules of our party. And therefore, everyone who is a bona fide, valid member of our party, financially speaking, will be given the opportunity to participate. The outcome will be had on the evening of the 15th of June 2024. Like your good self, I look forward to the final results. Any further questions anybody would like to raise? If not, I would like, on behalf of my colleague, the distinguished Member of Parliament for Chaguanas East, MP Vandana Mohit, and our Shadow Minister with responsibility for social development, for coming to this press briefing today along with myself. We'd like to thank her, and we'd like to thank the party for giving us the opportunity to share with you perspectives on our party, both in the context of what is taking place in the constituency of Chaguanas East, fundamental issues as was raised, and of course some of our concerns concerning what we call the billion-dollar scam of the century, that is the Naikwan fiasco. Thank you very much. Have a very safe afternoon and a very safe return to your respective destinations. Thank you very much.